Hello, I'm John O'Loughlin. Welcome to McDuff Lives. Well, it's Friday, time for our live chat, and I'm very happy to say Marcia has joined us again. So it's going to be another lively Friday hour with Marcia, Keith, and myself. So let's get started. And welcome once again. I'm John O'Loughlin, and with me is my beautiful wife, Marcia Keith. Hi, Marcia.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Glad to have anybody with us that wants to join us in the chat room. Just post your comment on Rumble if you have Rumble. If not, then we will see it on YouTube. We have all of our 3 YouTube channels open this morning. I'm thinking about shutting 1 or 2 of them down just because duplication, but the thing is, we've got people that follow us on all 3 of them. So it's a little bit of a dilemma, but it's nice to have that kind of dilemma because I get to reach more people.
Yes, indeed. We have Can Detect here with us this morning. The truth will set you free, says Can Detect. And it looks like Karma Doc has joined us. Hello, Karma Doc. Happy Friday the 13th to you, too.
I know. Knock on wood, right?
Yeah. And Polly says hi.
Hello, everybody.
We are so glad you're here with us today.
Yeah. And, since our good friends, Scott of Can Detect, the makers and providers of Allison V is here, and our good friend Karma Doc is here, and with Polly here also. I know you all are interested just to know that my last PSA came back 0.0, and I am thrilled. So
we are
I'm
so happy.
Very happy to tell you that whatever we're doing, it seems to be working. And so I'm feeling great. I'm really, really feeling great. And so I know you guys know my story and you understand how deeply that feels.
And Karma Doc says, yay.
Yeah. It's
so proud of you, she says.
Thank you, Karma. Yeah, we did a great show about 2 months ago with Karma Doc and Can Detect, bringing us up to date on the issue of what's new in fighting cancer. You can find that, of course, in all of the show archives that you can find on all of the channels, including Facebook, of course.
Brightmore says, bravo and brava. Thank you, Brightmore.
Okay. Yeah. Makes me think of Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, I was watching, this is just a brief diversion. I got caught up on Facebook Reels again, no news there, but baseball, there is like an international baseball tournament going on now. And I was just watching the Italian team, and they just won. I think was it Japan they beat somebody.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, all the countries that have entered it have, their national teams there, and they can play baseball overseas, believe me. So,
well, in fact, the other night, I turned on Mexico and the United States while I went to take a shower, and you were lying there. I wasn't sure if you were asleep or not, but I thought if you woke up and the TV set was on, at least there would be baseball, but I guess you never saw it. But yeah, Mexico was playing the United States one night this week.
Cool. Yeah. Did they call it the Burrito Bowl?
Wouldn't that have been perfect? That is so good.
Okay, I'm going to give myself a point for that one. Good gracious, yeah.
The Burrito Bowl. That's great. I didn't pay any attention to the game or to the score. I had just left it on so that you wouldn't be waking up to, commercials and other stuff.
And the other thing is rugby. I never looked at rugby before, but there's this Guinness Invitational Rugby tournament that all the countries, I think the European countries, went to, probably some
Oh,
of
wow.
the British Commonwealth countries too, and Italy won that. Italy
Nice.
beat England for the first time in 23 years. But I never watched rugby before, but it's a darn exciting game. It's fun to watch, and it's very simple to see what's going on. It's
Really?
not complicated like baseball or cricket or something.
There's a young woman that I follow who was on the women's rugby team in the Olympics. What was that? 2024, in which the women won the gold, and I've since started following her, but I've never actually watched a game and always wondered what it would be like. I just remember when I was in college, I lived in a dorm that on one floor housed a lot of the athletes that weren't in the major sports. It wasn't like, basketball and football. It was all the things like rugby and lacrosse. And I think it was the rugby players, I could be wrong, who walked around with T-shirts saying, "It takes leather balls to play rugby."
That sounds like rugby players. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good morning to everyone. And, we were talking before the show. I almost said I want to use the same meme title that I used last week, which is, what are we fighting for?
In Iran, yeah.
Yeah. And around the world. And, it's now spread into Iraq. I mean, serious fighting going on there. And it looks like the Iraqis are taking up arms against the Americans. And the Israelis, of course. This thing is it looks to me that somebody very cleverly figured out a way to light the fuse to World War III.
Yeah. That's how it's starting to feel more and more.
Yeah, and the hardest thing to understand is that there are people out there that want World War III. And there have been all along, ever since World War II. They've been at it behind the scenes with secret operations and assassinations and trying to shape the world into a global totalitarian system. And, killing people is makes them very happy. Isn't it awesome? When we had our show with Harley Schlanger on Tuesday, and as we were getting toward the end of the show, I raised the question of, what's going to happen to the people in the Gulf states? They're running out of food. They can't get out. The airports are getting bombed. And we were just about out of time, so he made it very short. He said the same thing's going to happen to all of us. They want to kill us.
Yeah. And hearing Harley say that was amazing.
It was amazing because, I've been working with Harley now for 6 or 7 years, and I've never heard him say something so clear and so consistent with what I've been saying for years myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, they really are going to try to kill us. And they've been killing us all along, as we talk about with Adam Finnegan and his great book, The Sleeper Agent, biological, chemical, war, and genocide. These are ongoing programs of those people that want to kill us. And if we don't wake up to that, we are going to end up dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Garden Girl is here. Hello, Garden Girl. Garden Girl says, oh, that's Imagine That. Sorry. I wanted to start here. This is not our war. And that's it exactly. It is not our war. And good morning, Imagine That, who says absolutely nothing. Oil war at best. Corky, good morning, Corky. Corky says, one way or another, war will out. And death to death really scares people. Death to death. Interesting.
Ashes to ashes. Yeah, war. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Say it again. Yeah. The songs from our college, our high school, they really do ring true. People, songs like that one.
Yeah, I earlier this week in my head started, you said something about what are we fighting for, and I immediately in my head went to, and it's 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for?
Yeah.
Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is in Iran.
And by coincidence, Country Joe McDonald and the Fish died this week.
He did indeed. I saw that too.
Yeah. So, don't ask me, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam.
Yep.
And the trouble is that all of the liberals are now on the wrong side.
I know.
Those are all my friends from 30, 40 years ago.
Exactly.
I am so frustrated because, I will say it again. When we went down to the anti-war rally on the mall, right down in front of the right on the mall, and we had the big stage and the people, one of the artists sang Masters of War.
Mm-hmm. That was so moving.
And the people in the audience, not a single one of them, or maybe one out of curiosity, was a liberal.
Yeah, I know of a few liberals that were there.
Well, what did they think?
Former neighbor.
What did they think? So, I mean, I
didn't at that point didn't see, but no, yeah, I agree. I don't think people around us really picked up on the irony.
It's just like, or Rolling Stone, or how many roads can a man walk down?
Garden Girl mentions what's going on.
What's going on? That's a great one. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of the topic that I did choose for today's show, and that is, how do we know what the truth is, and when in a world full of lies? And the subtitle is "You Can't Handle the Truth."
Yeah, war full of lies and false flags. I was also I noted this morning as I was catching up on yesterday's news that there were 2 attacks yesterday that were some kind of Arab Islamist related person attacking public buildings, one in Michigan, the synagogue that this guy drove into is a Lebanese guy, drove into a synagogue in Michigan, and the security guards shot him and stopped any further damage. But there was a school in there, and everybody got out just fine. And then the other one was a shooting at Old Dominion University. And the fellow was somebody who had been in prison for assisting ISIS. And then he got out a year ago, a little more than a year ago, and he went over to Old Dominion and went into, I guess, a classroom. Excuse me, I've got a frog. Went into a classroom that was full of ROTC students and teachers and started shooting. And he shot the teacher, who is a former, I believe, National Guardsman himself, and killed him. And 2 others were wounded. But again, and there was a third. Oh, and then I'm reading about the senator from Alabama, Tuber something, Tommy Tuberhead. I don't know, Tommy Potato Head. He texted that we should kick all Muslims out of the United States. He posted on X.
Yeah.
And so there is this, and I'm thinking to myself, well, these violent acts, that are happening, we can point to them and say, yeah, look, we got to get rid of all the Muslims. But how many are false flags too?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you using the term false flag, because it's a term that I think the general public is really not understanding yet. But I was just watching Scott Ritter on, I think it might have been with Danny Haiphong, and Scott Ritter is saying, it's the FBI. It's, remember the FBI set up that crazy thing with the governor of Wisconsin, Whitmer, and they have this Department of national security within the FBI. I didn't know that. And they respond to the NSA, the top of our security apparatus, and according to Scott Ritter, this is what they do. They need to raise the tension and fear index of the American people so that we are willing to sustain this war.
Exactly.
That is why we suspect, and we don't know, but we suspect that these things, or at least some of them, are false flags because of the clear intention to keep us bamboozled out of fear into supporting a war that the American people just do not want.
Brightmore says, and I'm not quite sure what this starting. I couldn't find if there was a different comment, Brightmore, but shut down Stryker, a major medical supplier. FBI talking about Iranian sleeper cells in U.S. and possibly of more cyber attacks. Cyber attacks. That's the other thing I saw something about. Get ready for cyber attacks. Did the downed refueling jet fail because of compromised?
Well, mechanics, right?
No. Once again.
Oh, okay.
Satellite transmissions. Have Russia and China helped Iran jam Israeli spy satellites like FX and Starlink?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
But yeah, that's a good idea, though. So much of everything is dependent upon satellite links now. And our military is really just completely immersed in it. Iran shot, the first thing they did was to kill as many of our big radar systems as possible.
Well, Can Detect also brings up New York mayor. There was an attack on the New York mayor's residence, supposedly from Muslims.
But let me make this point, which I do want to make. There's been a lot of images in the media of Mayor Mamdani sitting down on the floor with his legs crossed and talking to clearly Muslim people, attired people, and talking. I think about it. I don't know what they were saying, but the implication was that look what happens to our government when you let the Muslims take over. And I think that is another one that they put this stuff in front of Americans' faces in order to get us outraged, emotionally upset, and at the bottom, fearful enough to allow our government to wage this horrific war against the people of Iran. It's not against the government. They are bombing everything. They are trying to bomb it into the Stone Age, just as was said about Vietnam back in that era.
Well, but the thing is, I'm so sorry about my throat. I don't know what's going on with this. You can give, there we go. Oh, I lost it. Okay, Brightmore says, the man who drove the truck into the temple was a Lebanese man who just lost several family members to Israel's recent bombing of Lebanon. And yes, that's the justification for what he did. But now we are being told to be afraid of retaliation because that's in retaliation for what's going on over there. So be afraid of retaliation.
And I think American people need to just hear this over and over again, that there are false flags, that our government does run them, and the FBI does do things like that. I mean, just as I just mentioned the FBI, and then there it is.
Yep.
So I think Scott Ritter is right about this. And, how many times am I going to say it? If they hadn't killed John F. Kennedy, none of this could have happened. It just couldn't have happened. We would not have turned into the world's evil superpower and, going.
But you talk so much about the cover-up, and that's it, the cover-up, and, how the cover-up has gotten us to believe things that aren't true. And imagine that says the illusory truth effect is the cognitive tendency to believe false information is true, simply true because it has been repeated, first identified in 1977. And that's it. You repeat over and over again Lee Harvey Oswald, the man who killed Kennedy. And then everybody believes it that, he acted alone because it's been repeated so many times. That's how the cover up works. And probably a lot of other cover ups that we just keep repeating this thing. Insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. How many times have you heard that? We now accept it as truth. The day afterwards, that wasn't what we were reporting. But I didn't mean to get off on that tangent.
That's okay.
I'm just trying to illustrate things that exactly, the truth.
Yeah, the idea of the insurrection has been so absorbed in the Democratic Party and the liberal and progressive mind that you can't get it out. It's become part of their mental DNA. And this fight this week over a plaque being put up in the Capitol, supposedly honoring the great law enforcement people that defended the Capitol against the insurrection mob, is, again, there's controversy, a lot of controversy about, hey, why didn't you put this guy on the plaque? What about this guy that was,
Oh, there's nobody on the plaque. It's only agencies. They didn't mention names.
Oh, is that right?
That's what I read.
Well, that's what people are talking about, is specific names. Now,
right. That's part of the controversy, that names weren't mentioned, and instead it was just the agencies that got mentioned, and the plaque has been put up in a non-public area. So maybe I have that wrong. Hello, Rezvedka. Rezvedka says our government and Mossad run false flags. Yes, indeed. Are you looking that up?
Yeah, because I really had the opposite impression. I thought it had names on it.
Good. Yeah, let's make sure we have it right. Well, in the meantime.
All right, here it is.
Okay.
Well, you are right. It only has agencies. But why? Well, there was so much hoo-ha about somebody that should have been recognized or something like that. All right, let's let that one go.
Okay. All right. Brightmore says, what are the odds that the Mossad is behind our impending cyber attacks? Remember the Stuxnet virus? And I don't remember that, from Israel, that crippled Iran's defense computers.
I remember it.
Do you?
Yeah, Stuxnet. And, I didn't know Israel was the source of it, but yeah, that was, I don't remember when it was, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But of course, I believe that Israel basically has control over everybody's computer, over every device, that all the computer chips are made under specifications in which they can have a back door. And I think, that this has been going on ever since we started getting these devices. And, this goes back to what happened to Steve Jobs and how he got cancer and then, got cured of cancer. And, this was back in the 2010, 2015 era. And of course, Bill Gates has been in on it all along. So between Apple and Microsoft, it's all been compromised. And
now add AI to that equation, because now these wars are being, I don't want to say run, although maybe that's accurate, but these wars are being directed by AI.
Well, that's a good answer, because I didn't know anybody was directing them at this point.
Choosing the targets.
Well, yes, but as has been pointed out by just every military consultant that I watch, which of course is Scott Ritter, Doug McGregor, Larry Wilkinson, and a couple others. You can't conquer a nation of 93 million people with air power. You've got to have infantry and lots of it. And now we went ahead and pulled the trigger, knowing that we weren't going to have no infantry.
Right.
But we thought maybe we could get the Kurds to do it, or the Balochis of the order on the border of Pakistan, and which is another tragic example of the British way that they split people up in order to divide them, because the whole Balochi tribe or people is split right down the middle between Pakistan and Iran. Who drew that line? We know who drew that line.
Well, and the Kurds too.
Yeah,
are
and the Kurds
split.
are split, and of course the Punjabis are the big ones in India and Pakistan, split right down the middle.
There are actually, I saw a thing recently that there are like 50 some various minority groups in Iran.
But see, we have screwed with them so badly that they're not willing to rise up. In the case of the Kurds, we stabbed them in the back already, and I don't remember the details, but that's what I understand, and I think it's quite true that we just use people.
Absolutely, and then abandon them.
And that's not who we're supposed to be.
Right.
That's not who we are. Like was said right at the top of the show, this is not our war. This is not the American people saying we've got to go and whoop up on the Ayatollah. No, we never rose up. We never said any such thing to our Congress people. We never asked them to declare war. We never asked the president. He is just doing what, as Harley, and I really value our most recent show with Harley this past Tuesday, Harley Schlanger. It's called Harley and Me, if you're not familiar with it. I've been doing a series with Harley Schlanger for about 6 years now, and
Harley is brilliant.
He's brilliant, and he's been at this so long that he knows stuff right off the tip of his tongue without having to look it up. It's a remarkable privilege to talk with Harley. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what he was saying. And well, let's go on to some more comments.
Have you seen that, before we move on, that Hegseth is now saying that Khamenei the second has been injured?
I saw a meme that said that he had been injured and lost a leg or something like that. But,
I didn't see that. What I saw that Hegseth said was that he was injured and disfigured.
Okay.
But he doesn't say where or how.
Yeah.
So he has not been seen since he.
But they're missing the plot here. The plot is, they've got hundreds of Ayatollahs in waiting. If you kill this Khamenei guy, they'll just get back together and pick somebody else.
Absolutely.
It's
yes.
not this idea of decapitating a theological based religious regime.
Yeah.
These people believe in their religion. They believe in their mullahs and their leaders. Unfortunately, the West has kind of cut them out of an awful lot of important interactions, and so they become, isolated and very willing to defend themselves. You bomb somebody, you think that's going to make them scared. That was the whole idea of the strategic bombing survey in World War II, where let's just bomb Hamburg, let's just bomb, Dresden, let's just bomb all the cities, and the people will get scared. No, they didn't get scared. They signed up for the army. And that's what they do. People just don't get intimidated. Even if you kill their mother and their father and their children, they will not back down against that kind of inhuman, terroristic violence.
Imagine that says, still fog of war. I believe nothing, especially with the onset of AI.
Yeah.
There you go.
The first casualty of war is the truth.
Razvedka says, John is still a real person. Hope AI doesn't try to delete him too. Thank you, Razvedka. I couldn't agree with you more. Well, now, I'm not quite sure about this. Karmadoc. So it seems Putin has been selected to save us all. Not sure. I wish I knew more about that.
Let me take a shot at it because
Okay.
I don't want to pass off a chance to converse with our friend Karma for a moment.
Absolutely.
So it seems Putin has been selected to save us all. Here's the way that works in my mind. Okay, shutting down the Strait of Hormuz cuts off the oil
Mm-hmm.
to a huge part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Not the United States. We're fine.
Yeah, yesterday you said 2%, was it?
Yeah,
2% of our oil comes through the strait.
But Japan, forget it, like 80% or 70%, and China is big too, and a lot of Southeast Asia. Well, and in Europe, Europe is totally dependent upon fossil fuel products to heat themselves and to run their machines and cars, everything. Europe is probably the most tragic so far victim of this. So, but now turn it around. Who wins? Well, Russia wins because they've got tons and tons of oil, and they've been under sanctions, and they've been having to use false flag, the literal idea from the 19th century of on the ships called the shadow fleet. And, we were shooting them out of the water up to a couple of days ago. But now President Trump says, no, 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 we're going to let off the sanctions on Russia.
For
Well,
30 days.
So when Russia now is selling oil and also waiving the Jones Act, which means that any tanker in the world can land in America now. It doesn't have to be a flag, that we have already negotiated the deal with. Anybody can just show up with a tanker full of oil, and we'll buy it from them. Waiving all of that in order to keep the price of oil under $100. But how long is these Band-Aid measures going to last? This is not a Band-Aid type of a cut. This is a deep wound into the heart of our economy. Who wins? Russia wins, absolutely. And they're going to have the money now to rearm and finally defeat Mr. Zelensky, the cokehead, down in Ukraine. And from that point on, Russia absolutely is going to be the main economy in the world, because what are we going to do? Our corporate structure is all built around Exxon, Standard Oil, British Petroleum, Royal Dutch. All of these oil companies are the essentials of our stock market. It's not that we're going to run out of oil. It's that the value is going to get sucked out of our economy. That's what's really scary to me, to see, after 6 months of seeing the stock market rise and total optimism about the future, and Trump talking about how we're all going to get rich, and then he pulls the trigger on this horrific war, and now the stock market's going down and down and down. Nobody knows when it's going to stop, or how is it going to stop. How's Trump going to stop this and save face? Well, I have.
Whoa, that's an interesting point.
Oh, and he's going to try to save face.
Of course, he's going to try to save face. Yes.
Yeah, let's take some more comments.
Okay. Well, Razvedka does add, India never followed the sanctions anyway, but the discussions with Russia are telling. And that's true. India didn't.
So the Iranians, somebody blew up an Iranian tanker that's stuck in the Persian Gulf.
In the
I
Persian
mean,
Gulf.
in an Indian tanker.
Oh,
In
okay.
I'm sorry, an Indian-owned oil tanker.
And apparently the Chinese can go through the strait if they identify themselves as Chinese. Now,
It's,
how well that works, who knows?
well, this is the question: is why in the world would the Americans allow the Chinese to use the straits, which just benefits Iran by letting them sell oil?
Oh, but let's don't start blowing up Chinese vessels. That would be a terrible step.
The last thing we need is the Chinese. You know, I've
Exactly.
always had this image of huge container ships. You know, they probably say Evergreen on them, right? And you know, with a division of Chinese soldiers in every single one of them, and 100 of them come and just land in Los Angeles, and they spread out and take over everything. We can't stop an armed attack like that. I think our defenses are pretty slim at this point, and it's just an image that I've had in my mind for many years. That uh, you know, it will be allowed to happen. It's not like that they're going to come and fight against us. It's more likely that we're just going to let it happen because our government no longer cares about us.
All right, let's don't speculate about something like that at this
Okay.
point. Let's talk about what's happening now.
All right, sure.
Can Detect says we are 40 years behind a transition to hydrogen thanks to the DOE and ARPAE. What's ARPAE?
I don't know.
Who tell us they only care about votes. Let me. So hydrogen would then do what? I'd like to know more about that. Department of Energy, ARPAE. ARPAE. What does that stand for? It's part of the Department of Energy. Here we go. What does ARPAE stand for? Advanced Research Projects Agency, Energy.
Oh, that's DARPA or ARPA. Yeah, so this is
the energy arm of ARPA.
Yeah, which is all a Pentagon project, and this allows me to jump in. I also want to honor our good friend Corky Goss, who every chance he gets raises, the fusion. Why aren't we doing fusion? Same thing with Scott's point about hydrogen and other things that could be providing energy. I do believe that our technology has been frozen in time for at least 50 years, and that they have stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Lots of ways to make energy that they're making sure that we don't get and keep us dependent on oil and gas so that they can control the energy supply, because that's what they're doing, is they're controlling the amount of energy that we humans get to use, as long as in controlling it into one, it's like stovepiping the whole energy infrastructure into one product, and we already know that's ridiculous. There's plenty of other ways to make a car go forward without burning hydrocarbons. But, that I think is part of what the big lie that we've been accepting. And that is, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could have fusion energy? We've got fusion energy. They just won't let us have it. That's my point.
Brightmore says, almost poetic that a fuel tanker crashed and exploded over the skies of Iraq brings to mind Dr. Strangelove and its opening images of a refueling jet and a fighter jet connecting for a fill-up.
It's good to
That's an
remind
interesting catch.
remind us of Dr. Strangelove, and if you haven't seen it, make sure and see it.
You know, it's ironic to me. I don't know if you've noticed, but you hear the noise off in the distance. That here we are talking about these things and talking about the war, and out here on the Potomac River, right next to Mystery Island, the U.S. Navy is testing their explosives.
And I think they're back to testing the railgun again.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Because I read an
Mhm.
article yesterday it was like the Navy's magazine of what's going on in the Navy, right?
Mhm.
NAVC, I think. And one of the projects is, and it was talking about White Sands, the White Sands, and they're saying that this is the second railgun project is at White Sands, and that's where they've been doing this testing. But you and I know they've been testing it here on the Potomac as
Absolutely.
well.
I've taken a tour. I mean, when I was
Yeah.
working for local government, I took a tour of that base, and they showed us the, little models of rail guns and, how they test them. Yeah.
And they're saying that we're back doing kinetic energy. In other words, railgun is a real projectile that just goes extremely fast because of the electromagnetic energy that's imparted to it
All right.
as it gets thrust out of the barrel. But the idea of kinetic energy being what we're studying is kind of a step backwards because we've got lasers and all kinds of the satellites and all the technologies that we can use. If you want to take down a satellite, are you really going to shoot a railgun at it, or are you going to use a laser or some laser weapon?
Yeah, I don't
that
think
they've
rail
made?
guns are long range.
Yeah. So,
But then again, what do I know?
well, so what good are they? That's all I'm saying.
I see. Well, close-up warfare, I suppose. Here we go. Imagine that says ARPAE, or Advanced Research Projects Energy Agency, is an agency within the United States Department of Energy tasked with funding the research and development of advanced energy technologies. Advanced energy technologies.
So they're the gatekeeper. They're not going to let us have them.
Now, I hadn't heard this. Huffman Aviation, good morning. Iran said if you close your Israeli embassy and kick out the diplomats, and they will assure safe passage for your ships.
That's true.
Okay.
I saw that reported a couple times, and in the context of that, look what Spain has done. Spain withdrew its ambassador from Israel, and what I learned is that in diplomatic protocol, that means that Israel has to withdraw its ambassador from Spain.
Okay.
So this is very much modeling the idea that if you can get these Western countries hungry enough for your oil, that they'll kick out the Israeli and American embassies from their country. That's what's required. You have to you have to expel the American and Israeli embassies from your country, and then we will let your ships go through the Straits of Hormuz. It's very clever.
That is clever. It's, yeah, I think there might be other conversations going on here that
happens.
I know. Oh, here we go. Again, imagine that. The railgun is making a comeback in both gaming and real-world military testing. It has returned to Fortnite and GTA Online. I guess those are games. Don't know much about gaming.
Me neither. Somehow I've stayed away from it, and I'm glad, because I'm one of those people that can just waste all their time once they get interested in something like that.
Ah, they use gaming to train the youth.
Yes.
Yep.
The first person shooter games where you've got a gun in your hand and you've got to shoot the bad guys. You're learning how to be a killer.
Huffman Aviation says we could use the concept of maglev for launching spacecraft, believe it or not. That's interesting.
And why don't we have maglev trains, getting me from here to New York an hour and a half? Why not? Well, again, this goes back to, again, what we've learned working with Harley Schlanger, and that is that they don't want us to have nice things. They want us to recede in terms of technology, to go back to having to use the horse and buggy in extreme example. So so they took away Union Station, or was it Pennsylvania Station in New York City, the beautiful Grand Central Station. They demolished it to make Madison Square Garden.
Oh, okay.
But that was the Lazard Frere and the bankers taking away our beautiful architecture so that we live more dystopian lives.
Razvedka says Russians with all their oil are using fusion generators in the Arctic.
Oh.
What is that about? Trump wants Greenland to offset the Russian dominance in the Arctic. Yes, indeed. And Greenland is probably breathing a sigh of relief right now because the attention is off of them.
And off of Epstein. The war has diverted most people's attention away from the Epstein files.
I guess so. Yeah, I haven't seen much. I've been reading the pamphlet that Harley talked about on Tuesday about Epstein. And I got to tell you guys, go to EIR and get this pamphlet. It's just really amazing, the information that's in there. It's really helped me understand a lot about the whole financial shenanigans that Epstein was involved in. It's Harley is brilliant. And it's not just Harley, it's a lot of his colleagues too. But anyway, yeah, Epstein has been out of the news completely lately.
And isn't that convenient for Donald Trump?
Oh, yeah. Especially now that his name has come up in some of those.
Yeah. And Harley laid it out on Netanyahu. He says Netanyahu is a thug. He's a gangster. He's one of those people that just wants everything. It's just a question of how much can he own. He wants to own everything. And he really wants to have that greater Israel idea. But I don't think greater Israel is going to be happening anytime soon right now.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not, because a lot of people will suffer.
And that's why, it's tempting to want to see Iran win, even though I'm an American.
Wow.
Because,
there's a thought.
Are we going to just keep supporting?
I don't want to see anybody win. I don't want to see.
Well, yeah, but how do we get out of it now? That's
exactly. It's a good point.
How in the hell are we going to get out of it?
That is because we keep saying, why are we doing this? What is the end game? What is it that what is the reason? And I've never stopped to think about what is the reason I want it to be, or what is the end game that I would like to see? What I'd like to see is that this never started, but it did start. So now what? And that's a scary thought, is what are the possible endings here? And none of them are good.
No. And the only ending that I could see that even on the American Israeli side is greater Israel. To me, it goes back to Wesley Clark back in when they were doing the war in Bosnia and Sarajevo and doing all that bombing. And Wesley Clark, the former general, I think he was a 5-star, at least a 4-star, reports, and you can see this all over YouTube. He says, I went into the planning room, and the guys told me that we're going to topple 7 countries in the next 5 years, and he was shocked. And at this point, we've toppled the first 6 of them, and what's the last one on the list? Iran. So whose agenda was that? This is the agenda that was given to America by Israel, as far as I can see. And we've been doing Israel's bidding, and this is, again, we have to consider the idea that Israel has got some really, really powerful blackmail, not only on people but on the whole country.
On our whole country?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
They're smart enough to put hidden nuclear bombs in cities that, they can tell, Donald Trump, hey, you know what? You like New York, right?
Well, the International Court of Justice is still even considering the South African complaint about Israel committing genocide in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
And the United States has just filed some kind of it's not a amicus brief like you would have in the Supreme Court, but it's something like that says, no, it's not genocide. I mean, we are going to the International Court and saying, no, we're behind Israel. It wasn't genocide. How can you say it's not genocide, what took place over there? It's just...
Well, it's this whole war is based on the idea of self-defense. See, the legal justification for us doing this war is that the president and the National Security Council made a judgment that America is under imminent threat. We are supposedly under some kind of imminent threat. If it wasn't for that, they'd had no justification at all for it. So, self-defense, we have to defend ourselves. The ridiculous idea that Marco Rubio said a week ago that we had to do it because Israel told us that they were going to go and do it,
right? Oh,
and therefore we knew we'd get hit in retaliation. So we had to preempt the preemptive strike. So we preempted the preemptive strike, and that was a defensive measure, so therefore it's legal.
So I'm going to stand here and threaten you with a stick. And so then you get a bigger stick to defend yourself. And then when I hit you, I say, well, it's because you were going to hit me with a bigger stick.
Yeah.
Or with any stick. Doesn't even have to be bigger.
Yeah.
I got to hit you now because you're going to hit me.
Yeah. And not only that, your stick is an existential threat to me.
That's right.
Yeah. If you hit me, I'm going to completely disappear from the earth. So, yeah, all this hype and nonsense and just lies.
Brightmore says, stop hitting my boot with your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that's Orwell and, or was it Huxley? I get them confused on their quotes, but, the future of humanity is a boot constantly stepping on your neck or something like that.
Corky says ethics lost reason. Now meta ethics required. Meta ethics. This is a new term to me.
Well, I understand they've almost humanized their AI robot. His name is Claude, right? And he's getting more and more.
That's the Anthropic AI.
Uh-huh.
Anthropic is the company that was identified by Trump as being a national security threat.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's called Claude. And Claude is being used. Claude is being used to identify and determine who are targets that we're going to bomb.
Oh boy, we're running out of time.
Whoa. I had no idea. Brightmore says, just to plant this in the collective mind, another headline about dangerous strikes from the sky. Is city killer asteroid going to hit the moon? See NASA Outlook. Okay, so we can be afraid of asteroids, city killer asteroids too.
You know what they call NASA, right?
What?
Never a straight answer.
Okay.
Yeah, this is more fear porn.
Yeah, exactly. So much to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Or as Frank Zappa said it in 1965, there's no way to delay that trouble coming every day.
Imagine that says yes, or a dirty suitcase bomb or another virus.
By the way, we hear rumbles from the Gates crowd that another virus is going to come. We're going to get another pandemic.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. It's inevitable, you know. Well, the last one was inevitable. Fauci knew that. Fauci knows. So what are they going to hit us with next? I think they've been working really hard on bird flu and trying to get bird flu to hit humans with some kind of serious or disease. And they've been working on these bird flus, and I worry about the birds that it's all right. That's just me speculating. Back to reality.
That's all right. I did not know this. Prester John says, well, at least Trump gives out Florsheim shoes as gifts to people he likes.
Oh, God.
That's got to count for something.
Made me laugh.
Yeah. I had no idea that he did that.
Wow, those are nice shoes, man.
Yeah, Florsheim shoes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. That's yeah. Razavetka, John and Marcia, you were so right. Israel has blackmail on the USA and maybe on Trump. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Here we go. Karma Doc. As I've said it before, the small family farm is the only thing that will save you. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And community, because I think, that's what we had, that's what we lost in the 19th century. We lost our sense of self-reliance and the identification of that American dream of having your own place, making your own children, controlling your own property and taking care of nature as a steward. That whole American dream has been taken away from us.
I had a really interesting online discussion with a local farmer, a friend of ours that we have bought, actually that we buy the soaps from because they make soaps too. But this is a young couple who they actually live in a suburban house on a 1/4 acre lot, or maybe it's half an acre. I don't think so. And they farm enough to feed themselves and actually sell at the farmer's market every summer. They've opened a shop in a small town down the road from us, and they are amazing what they've accomplished. And we had a really interesting online discussion about food and food policy and the Secretary Kennedy's message about teaching people to cook and to eat real food rather than processed food. But who's going to teach the people how to do that? Because we've lost those skills. And that was the discussion that we had online. And it was a really interesting discussion because this young man was saying that it's up to the community. The community's got to rally together to pass on this message about raising food and growing food and cooking food and eating real food. Yeah, we gotta go back to those days, but we actually have to teach each other how to do that because those skills have been lost.
Well, Marcia, maybe you're the person to do it.
Well, I don't know how to grow it, but I know how to cook it.
Well, we're going to learn how to grow it. I've got some seeds, and I'm going to go for it this summer. But because I think everybody should. That's why I'm doing it. Is because not because I couldn't, even go up to our nice next step farm and buy some nice kale for a price I can afford. I want to grow it myself just because I think that's what we all have to do. We have to go
Right.
back to Victory Gardens and get back to as much self-reliance as we can. Because I am afraid that our 401ks and things are going to be shaky until this damn war is over. So something is going to force Trump to end this war. And the best thing that I could imagine would be for him to say, you know what, my friend Benjamin Netanyahu talked me into this war. He convinced me that we could win it in a couple of days. Now I see that was bad advice. The American people deserve to have our military work in the interest of the United States and not running a fool's errand for a misguided leader of a foreign country. So we're going home. And you guys can deal with it with your friends in the Middle East. All of you guys just sit down and settle it. We don't need to be part of it. Good luck.
Wow. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
I'm moved hearing you say that. That would be absolutely amazing. It's not going to happen,
We don't know that for sure.
Well, that's true.
I mean, what else? He's got to find an off-ramp. And, throwing somebody under the bus has always been an off-ramp for American policymakers. And who is the most likely to be believed by the American people as to the real cause would be Bibi.
I know we're running out of time here, but I gotta put this up here. As Brightmore says, that will give Bibi the justification he needs to use nukes on Iran. And I fear that's true. That would lead to a nuclear war.
Blackmail.
Yeah, blackmail. All right. Be safe on this Friday the 13th, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much, everybody. And thank you, Marcia, for another very lively and interesting conversation.
Thank you, John.
All right. We'll see you Monday morning back here at McDuff Lives. Bye-bye.